Hey everybody, it's Liz, bringing you my second art video for Patreon and YouTube. We're going to be dipping our toes into abstract painting using acrylics. For the purposes of this video, don't actually put your toes in paint. That's a whole other video for another time. For the tutorial today, you'll need a canvas or Canva paper, a palette knife, I'll be using two different kinds, and palette knives come in various shapes and sizes. They're kind of like using tiny spatulas, so if you can ice a cake, you can palette knife some paint. The different shapes and sizes can give you varying effects in your art, but we're not going to get into that much today. You'll also need a cup of water, a rag, as you can see mine is very loved, or paper towels. A palette of some kind. I'm reusing a clean takeout food container, but you can use a paper plate or an actual palette. You'll also need white paint and an assortment of whatever colors you plan on using in your painting. Essentially whatever appeals to you today, or whatever you have on hand. The first step here is to cover your entire canvas in that white paint. Realistically, you can use anything as a base color, but white works for my purposes today. I have a very thick bodied paint that I'm going to add some water to in order to make it thin enough to go across the entire surface evenly. While I'm spreading out my white paint as a base, I'm going to talk about this Canva paper and why I'm using that as opposed to a regular canvas. The first reason is that this is a free painting I'm doing for a family member, and Canva paper gets the job done, but is much more affordable than the standard canvas. It's very fibrous paper that has the texture of a piece of canvas. It's also flat as opposed to a stretched canvas, so if you want to stick it in a frame as soon as it's dry, you don't have to do anything special. I don't know if you've ever had a canvas professionally framed before, but it can get really pricey. The only drawback with the Canva paper is that it's paper, so the more paint and water you apply, the more it tends to bow and wrinkle. To avoid that, I've taped the sides down with some masking tape. Now that we have a nice coat of paint on the paper, a drop here and there, and I'm going to use my palette knife to play with some paint. Yep, I said play. That's what this project really is, playing with paint. As kids, we play with paint all the time, but adults think it has to be some marvelous professional painting in order to be worth their effort. Really though, if you can remember being a kid and digging into freshly sharpened pencils, or a brand new pack of crayons with the sharpener in the back, or seeing that bucket of random markers all my teachers seem to have, and you got really excited just a little, you can find that play and creativity again within yourself. You know, back when you were super proud to show off your family portrait that was clearly a few squiggly lines and lots of colors. So let's get back to the no judgment state of mind and see what happens. I'm going to make new swipes of paint, experimenting with using the sides of my knife and the flat section of my knife to get different effects. You can cover the entire space if you'd like, but I'm going to have my paint fade from that bright white down to the bottom of my canvas. In art, sometimes less is more. I'm going to keep adding a few spots of various colors, making sure to clean my palette knife in between to avoid getting that overmixed and muddied look. I'm adding colors in patches. Why? Because that's the style I think will look best. You don't need to play with the color the way I do. The only thing to watch for here is the difference between scraping the paint and spreading the paint. If you lightly apply pressure evenly, you'll spread the paint. If you use a harder pressure and angle the knife, you might scrape away the paint. The awesome thing about that is that it will look good both ways as long as you're consistent. Just watch that you don't use too much pressure and slice into the canvas. I'm going to add that dark black at the bottom of the painting to give a great contrast to that nice bright white at the top. For an extra kick, I'm adding some silver ink. I'm treating it as if I would the paint, and that's just to give the painting an extra level of shine. It very much serves the purpose of the space it's being designed for, because there are lots of bright silver accents in the furniture in the room where it's eventually going to hang. There you have it, a finished painting that'll be ready to frame and hang as soon as it's dry. This is a great project to do on a large scale if you want to spruce up a room in your house, or make it on a small scale and do a bunch of smaller paintings that will really draw the eye. Thanks for watching. If you like this project and want to stay up to date with new videos and techniques, subscribe on my YouTube or Patreon, and keep on rocking that art.